Listen, I want you to do this with me. Let's do this together. Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored.
Let's talk about the US elections now. The Democrats have chosen, it's official now, Kamala Harris is the Democratic presidential candidate. There were no doubts about it, but she had to formally secure the nomination, and now she has. And that makes her the first woman of color to lead the party ticket.
Good evening, Philadelphia! Oh, it is good to be back in Pennsylvania. I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
You saw how she was welcomed with loud cheers in Philadelphia. And who's that man with her? It's Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. Yesterday, Kamala Harris picked him as her running mate. So he is the Democratic vice presidential candidate.
Since the day that I announced my candidacy, I set out to find a partner who can help build this brighter future. A leader who will help unite our nation and move us forward. So, Pennsylvania, I'm here today because I found such a leader. Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
If you don't track US politics closely, you may have never heard of Walz. Even if you are in America, you may not have come across his name. Look at this poll. 70% registered voters say they do not know Walz. 70% have no opinion about him. So he's mostly unknown. Why then did Kamala Harris choose him of all people? We could list a number of reasons, but here's the biggest one perhaps. An interview that took place last month. Tim Walz went on TV. He was talking about Donald Trump, and he called him, and I'm quoting, just weird. Soon that phrase, just weird, took a life of its own. Gen Z loved it. The Democrats latched onto it. They used it to attack the Republicans. So Walz became viral, and that helped boost his chance. Yesterday, he repeated his now famous words.
I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
The Democrats won't stop milking it, and we get why. It's short, it's effective, and the youth are connecting to it. But a catchphrase alone cannot make you the VP pick. You have to have more to offer. So we made a list of 5 things you must know about Tim Walz. Number 1, his resume is packed. Walz was a military veteran. He was a public high school teacher, and he was a football coach. So he appeals to blue-collar America. In 2006, he flipped a Republican-leaning district. In 2019, he left the US House. He ran for governor in Minnesota, and he won. But his first term was almost like a dumpster fire. There was the pandemic and the killing of George Floyd in his state. Walz governed through all of this, and he was re-elected in 2022.
Tim Walz is a good moral man. He's got a good background. He's got a good sense of humor. I think he's a perfect match for Kamala Harris. I'm just delighted.
I'm not sure how much an effect it'll have. I don't know how much the public knows about Walz outside of those that live in Minnesota.
Number 2. While Walz is from rural America, he is a liberal favorite. He's pushed multiple progressive policies. He enshrined abortion rights in his state. He funded universal free school meals. He legalized recreational marijuana. Labor unions love him. So for Democrats, he's the man for the job. But he's not your typical progressive. Which brings us to point number 3, Walz's gun policy. Guns have always been central to his life. He used to be a hunting enthusiast. He spent 24 years in the National Guard. In 2006, he was endorsed by the NRA. That's the National Rifle Association. They gave him an A rating. They even endorsed him in elections. But all this changed in 2017. Walz had a change of heart after a Las Vegas festival shooting. He spoke in favor of a ban on assault weapons. He strengthened gun laws in his state. So he's now a changed man, he says. But there's something else in his resume that raises questions. And that's his connect with China, his China connect. That's point number 4. Walz taught in China for a year. It was in 1989, the same year as the Tiananmen Square massacre. Later in 1994, he and his wife honeymooned there. He speaks Mandarin. He has even arranged summer trips for students to the country, and this has raised eyebrows in Beijing. Weibo users, social media users in Beijing are asking if Tim Walz is a CIA operative, and the Trump camp is going to town with a China link.
My view on it is it just highlights how radical Kamala Harris is. This is a person who listened to the Hamas wing of her own party and selecting a nominee. This is a guy who's proposed shipping more manufacturing jobs to China, who wants to make the American people more reliant on garbage energy instead of good American energy, and has proposed defunding the police just as Kamala Harris does.
Point number 5, Walz's appointment is making Republicans very mad, and you can understand why. He's popular among the progressives, but he still appeals to rural America, which is a good balance. Though the Trump campaign is calling him a hard left liberal. They're bringing up his handling of the Floyd protests. They're thrashing his policies. And when that's not working, they're targeting his age, which is a bit tricky. Walz is 60 years old, almost the same age as Kamala Harris, but the Republicans insist that he is older. Guess the age debate never really leaves American politics. But now the race is clearly heating up. Both sides have their candidates, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on one side, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance on the other. They're pouring in money. The Republicans have spent $181 million on ads. The Democrats have spent around $325 million. They're outspending Trump and team. But will it work? We'll find out soon enough.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment.
So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
On the show today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can we expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
Start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. For the first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Aaron Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C.